Hey everyone, I'm Yusuf of Capital City News, reporting live from my office. Just kidding, it's actually a studio in the plaza. On this week's episode, we're taking a look at open streets in the Granary District, a public PSA about picking up your dog's poo, U of U football, and some other lookbacks.
My name's Chandler McClellan. I'm one of the deputy directors for the project management team. They're basically the owner's authorized representative for Salt Lake City. It's one big team with the HD folks, Holder, Big D. They're the joint venture constructing this facility. So it's a team effort here. We just kind of help them along. We help guide them and mentor them and provide consultations with them and to them and for them on this building. What we're looking at right now, we're on the phase 3 portion of the building. We open October 22nd on this physical part. It's going to be 5 gates, October 22nd. Right now, the purpose of this is to kind of look at just the world map, present the world map back out to the community. Originally, this was built in the kind of 1959, 1960. I think the actual terminal, the original terminal was opened in 63, but this portion was built in like in 1960. This is kind of a continuity of history from what folks back in the 50s and 60s saw, and we wanted people to kind of feel and see the same thing that was here originally. As Nancy was saying, there were a lot of discussions about if we could salvage it. Originally, we thought we could not, just due to the construction, but when the South Concourse, when phase 1 of the South Concourse opened, they were able to do some exploratory cores. Basically, they removed some pieces, and they were able to evaluate how the world map was built, and they decided they could save it, they could salvage it. Many folks, IMS, at Finwall, the folks that actually salvaged this, we came out and we took a bunch of basically gigapixels. We mapped this out. We put everything on a grid, and we developed a manner to remove this system. And as Nancy was saying, we've stored it for about 3 years up in one of the north support buildings. Several months ago, when we started getting closer to building this out, we've tested to make sure we can put everything back together, both from the support standpoint, from a coloring standpoint. We wanted to make sure we could get all the grids back together and all the prime meridians and lines of latitude and longitude. That's generally some of the areas you cut. And when you look at it now, you can't really see the joints. Unless you have a super eye and unless you were here while we were building it, you would never know that this was kind of a stitched together. So again, as I was saying, we wanted just to kind of continue the history out here, and this is just a big part of it.
Hey everyone, Yusuf with SLC TV, standing beside what may soon to be a relic of the past. About 270 new parking stations are set to be installed in and around Salt Lake City. Stay tuned as we answer some of the questions you might have. What are the new features of the pay stations? Well, this is going away. We're getting a new improved touchscreen, more like a tablet, which will be much, much easier to use. We're gonna have much more language options for people, so we're gonna be including Spanish, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. You'll also be including the ability to use tap to pay with Google or Apple Pay. Much easier, we're making it more convenient for everyone. Are parking rates going up? Are they changing? No, they are not. They're staying exactly the same. What's not going to change with the new parking stations? Well, you're still going to have the option to pay by parking space. You're still going to have the option to use the Park SLC app to pay for parking, and you'll still have the option to pay with cash, coin, or card. How will I know when the parking space stations are going to be upgraded near me? That's a good question. You're probably going to see a parking, like a bag, placed over the pay spaces like this or over the larger stations, saying something that probably says no parking. That'll be your first indication that they're upgrading the stations near you. And then, once those bags are off, you should be good to go. Really simple. When will the new parking pay stations be installed? Great question. Phase 1 of the new installation of these new stations will begin August 12th and going through the fall. But for more updated and up-to-date information about those dates, make sure to just check this website. Bottom line, parking pay stations here in Salt Lake City are changing, but not really by that much. It's mainly going to be visual changes for you guys, plus some added features. Should be relatively painless as well. Besides, it can't be any worse than parallel parking, because the only thing worse than parallel parking is witnesses. Really? We're really gonna... Okay. This week we have a special PSA about picking up your dog's poo. We're doing this.
The following program is a PSA for the dangers of not picking up your dog's doo-doo. Brought to you by SLC TV. I don't need to pick that up.
Are you not picking up your dog's nuggets? Not picking up your dog's poop is disgraceful. And not to mention, illegal. Not picking up your dog's big fat loaves has multiple consequences, such as bacteria and parasites, water pollution, stepping in caca, big fine penalties, and disappointing your peers. At the end of the day, it's simple. It's your duty to pick up their duty.
Everyone, Yusuf with SLC TV here in the Granary District. I've got Brian with me. Brian, do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Brian Penzel. I'm a project manager with the Department of Economic Development, and this is Open Streets on the Green Loop.
Open Streets. We have heard that time and time again. It's very exciting. What makes this project unique?
This is a combination of two projects, so we're officially calling it Open Streets on the Green Loop. So we are taking up 2 blocks. Our project area is starting down here at 500 West and 700 South, and down there at 900 South and 500 West. Incorporating the best of both worlds. We have traffic calming, we have activation, we have art, we have all of the wonderful things that we love about Open Streets on the Green Loop, trying to function on a 2-block area on a very wide road that we can try and utilize and study and see how it can impact a neighborhood that for a long time is still developing and growing into itself.
So it seems like there are a couple kind of new, maybe some different ideas going on here. For example, we're sitting here on a makeshift futsal soccer court here in the Granary District. Can you tell us a little bit about the different things you're trying out for this project?
Yes, so one of my favorite things, and I don't know about you, Yusuf, but I love the Granary. I love to climb at Boulder Project. I love Kaya down here. I love to eat at Woodbine. I love slack water. And I think a lot of folks, natives or not, don't really come down here all that often. And it is a hidden gem in our city. And we get to highlight them. For example, Kaya, who is a nonprofit that works just right over here, is putting on a futsal tournament for us. There'll be 16 teams. They're going to play their guts out, 3-minute halves. I don't know if you play soccer, but I'm way out of shape, so be out of breath by then. But these are the activations that we want to see that bring folks into an area that they may not necessarily come down to.
If you're visiting Granary District Open Streets, make sure that you look down. Tell us why, Brian.
This is our Green Loop demonstration this year. Just to show you just the mixture between art and functionality. So before we got here, obviously this is a very, very wide road. So our wonderful team over at Smock and Roll and Township and Range at Public Lands came up with this plan, working with transportation and engineering to reset the road basically and incorporate some art. So that is a bike lane that connects to the 9 line, which is right over just a stone's throw from here. So you can literally ride your bike from the Whale or up on the east side or down on the west side down to the project with no problem whatsoever in one of our better protected bike lanes in the whole city. And this road is still functional. There are 2-way traffic, there's parking. We can incorporate everyone into one road concept. And that's one of the great things that we love about some of this project that we've been working on, is just seeing what we can change, how we can make a difference. I know I heard you say earlier, or someone say earlier, we always talk about these really wide streets and what can we do with them. This is what we can do with them. and the heat island effect changes just from the color alone. Like, there's so many different little things that we're trying to just see what a difference can make in a week and a half of work. So
See, I thought it was just me standing by Brian. I was like, man, it's cooler over here, but it might also be because of this, exactly what we're talking about. So yeah, and we can talk about it all we want, but there's nothing quite like coming here and experiencing it for yourselves. So remember, Granary District, open streets, Fridays and Saturdays in September, 4 to 10 p.m. Make sure you stop by. On this episode's History Minute, we're taking a look back at the history of U of U football, because as you know, it's college football season. I hope you know. I don't know. Go sports.
Through the 1980s, the University of Utah did not have a great football team. And then in 1990, they hired Ron McBride to be their head coach. Utah was an underachieving program, he said that year. Their expectations weren't that high. When they hired me, they said, well, if you cannot embarrass us against BYU and be in about the middle of the league and be respectable, you can stay here as long as you want. The bar was low. McBride stepped in and by his second season gave the Utes their best record since 1985. A year later, he took the Utes to the 1992 Copper Bowl, which was their first bowl appearance in almost 3 decades. His 13 years as Utah's head coach were far and away the most successful of his career. With the Utes, McBride posted an overall record of 88 and 63. He took the Utes to 5 more bowl games. His best season came in 1994, though, when the Utes won a then record 10 games and attained the highest postseason ranking in school history. McBride had raised the bar so high for Utah that it proved to be his undoing. After losing 5 close games and a 5-6 finish in 2002, Coach Mack was let go. Today, the Utes are members of the prestigious Pac-12, a place they would not occupy had it not been for the groundwork laid by Ron McBride over his 13-year tenure as coach.
That's it for another episode of Capital City News. Remember, this is your best way to stay informed and engaged with Salt Lake City government. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC.gov, tuning into Channel 17, or subscribing to us on YouTube. Reporting in from not my office, I'm Yusuf Mong. This is empty.